This podcast is brought to you by StarCharge, the largest EV charging manufacturer in the world, and is also a provider of residential and commercial battery storage and microgrid solutions. And Kempower, the reliable, quick, and scalable EV charging solutions for everyone and everywhere. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Out of Spec Podcast. I'm your host, Francie, and thank you for tuning in with me today for some electric topics. Specifically, I want to talk about how many EVs, electric vehicles, were sold in the United States of America in the year of 2023. It is now 2024, nearing the end of the first month of the year, January. It has been a cold one, I gotta say. I hope you all are bundling up as much as you need, enjoying the new year and sticking to any New Year's resolutions you may have had. You know, I got to think a lot of the automakers had New Year's resolutions at the beginning of 2023 and an idea of how many EVs they were going to sell over the year. And we know some of them did not come true, while some of them remain strong contestants based on these numbers and continue to offer competitive electric vehicles for the people. So let's dive into some of the numbers we saw in 2023. So everything I'm talking about here, unless otherwise stated, is referring to numbers about electric vehicles sold in the US of A in 2023, none of those internal combustion engines, which, a reminder, in case this is the first time that you're tuning into the Out of Spec podcast or watching me, we cover electric vehicle news specifically, not for any other reason than that it is very interesting to us. So let's tune in. Total sales. Nearly 1.2 million EVs were sold in the US in 2023. These numbers come from Kelley Blue Book and Cox Automotive. They are wonderful in gathering this data and double-checked with the automakers' numbers themselves as they have reported them in their quarterly earnings, their yearly earnings, all those really fun documents. Let's carry on. 7.6% of all new vehicles sold in 2023 were electric. This is up from 5.9, almost 6% in 2022. So we are seeing this uptick. I know a lot of states came out with news that, look, we're selling a lot of new EVs in our borders. So I'm going to go through with these in order of the most to the least EVs sold in the US in 2023, starting with Tesla. Just over 654,000 EVs by Tesla were sold in 2023. This is 25% growth year over year. The Model Y was the second most sold car in the US. That's out of all cars. And this is behind, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to guess the number one selling car in the US in 2023. The Toyota RAV4. 434,943 Toyota RAV4s were sold in the US in 2023. Kyle Connor, Out of Spec creator, actually just acquired one of these. So maybe I can link to where he tried to drive down to Texas and pick it up and then take it out to Las Vegas, but it was too much of, a drag on the Model X. So he abandoned it. And then a friend, Zach, went down and got it. So thanks, Zach. Of course, the Model Y was second, RAV4 was first. This is excluding trucks because the F-150, the Silverado, the Ram 1500, those were the number one selling trucks, but those are just in a different category. We're not talking about them trucks. So price cuts definitely help to boost Tesla sales throughout the year. They are so competitive with their pricing, whether it be leasing or buying. They're just able to do that. They have a different position than any other of the automakers that are offering EVs, whether it's an all-electric or not all-electric platform. They have dominated the EV sales. 55% of the US EV market share goes to Tesla in 2023. This is down from 65% in 2022, but 55%, that is still a huge majority. Over on to second place, GM. This includes GMC, Chevrolet, the Cadillac Lyriq, of course, BrightDrop, the van, Blazer EV, Hummer EV, to name a few. They had fewer quarter four sales than quarter three sales. The Bolt quarter four sales were down 22% year over year, but still in 2023, they had over 75,000 EVs sold out of the GM brands. This is a 93% increase year over year. And this is about 3% of their total sales. For GM, we're not totally sure of their future. They have had recent problems with their Ultium platform, the platform on which all of their EVs have been built. The Blazer EV experienced a stop sale due to software problems, and there are plenty of articles written out there where media folks got their hands on a Blazer EV and it just kind of stopped working. Not ideal. The Bolt EV and the EUV, their best-selling EV, the most affordable EV, was stopped. They are not producing it anymore, and they have plans that they've announced that they should come out with the Bolt EUV in the future again, but we'll just have to wait to see if that will happen. But of course, GM can still be good. GM invests a lot also into the public charging infrastructure. They have a huge partnership with EVgo, the public charging network in America, one of them, and they're tripling the size of the EVgo network. They also have a joint partnership with EVgo, Pilot Flying J travel centers, and GM, of course, to build out the corridors at all Pilot and Flying J travel centers on highways, like 50 miles between them. They're growing these out, and I think that's a really cool project. So GM has not underinvested in the EV space for sure, but maybe we'll see some more improvement. They're ramping up Lyriq production, Silverado production, and Hummer EV production, and then they aim to launch the Equinox EV and the Escalade IQ soon. So we will see. We'll see what's to come with GM and the electric part of their company. Ford, over 72,000 EVs were sold from Ford, 18% year-over-year increase from 2022. This is 3.6 of their total sales being electric. The Mach-E was the best-selling EV SUV besides the Tesla Model Y in 2023. Ford has adjusted pricing. They've added trims to the F-150 Lightning, which is that, F-150 electric truck. And, the pricing has gone up, unfortunately. And in 2023, they also decided to slow down several EV investments, ranging from battery manufacturing plants to not meeting production goals and actually ramping them down for their EVs. I have covered this in previous podcasts that I will link in the show notes. Hyundai and Kia, nearly 47,000 Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6s were sold in the US in 2023. This is about a 50% increase year over year for them. 5.8% share of all Hyundai sold were EV. They did not separate out the Kona ICE and EV, so there's likely more EV sales there that just aren't teased out in the report. Over 20,000 Kia EVs, the EV6 and the EV9, were sold in 2023. This is down 2.5% year over year. This is only a 2.6% share of all the Kia sold. And again, in their reporting, they did not separate out the Kia Soul ICE and EV and the Niro ICE and EV. So there's likely even more EV sales. But we are really interested to see what Kia is doing. They are kind of coming at the EV space full throttle. They have a lot of concepts, but they're delivering on the concepts that they've had in the past. So keep it up, Kia. We will see what they do. We have a podcast with an EV9 owner up in the northeast of the US that I will link to as well, and all his experience in ordering, getting it delivered, driving it around. Typically positive experiences is what I'm hearing from Kia EVs. Rivian, all-electric platform, of course. Their year-to-date sales for 2023 were just over 50,000 Rivians delivered. The year-over-year growth is 143.3%. So definitely growing. They, of course, have the R1T, the truck, the electric truck. Kyle has one of these, and then the R1S, which is the SUV. Both I see everywhere, even down here in the South. They are favorable. They're premium. I like how they look. I think they're really doing well with their software. We'll have to just continue to see how Rivian remains competitive in the market. Of course, there's not a lot of EV trucks on the road, so yeah, they've got room to expand. BMW, over 45,000 BMW EVs were sold in 2023. This is a 191% increase year over year. This is 12.5% share of their cars sold being EV. And their CFO, had a quote: "The tipping point for the combustion engine is already there. The current sales plateau for combustion cars and will continue and then fall slightly." So they're seeing that it is tipping from, at least their point of view, into a more EV favorable space, the automotive market. So we will see how BMW continues on with that. We've spent some time checking out BMW and their technology and all they're doing with their EVs. Pretty cool stuff. Globally, EVs are a 15% share of their work, and they're aiming for 33% by 2026. margins are still slim and they won't match the internal combustion engine margins that they're projecting until 2026, as quoted from BMW. Mercedes, over 40,000 EVs sold by Mercedes in the US. This is a over 200% increase year over year. This accounted for 15% of their total sales volume, which is up 4% from last year. Their overall sales volume, including the internal combustion engine sales, was similar to last year. They're saying EV competition is brutal and that margins are slim, but sales are growing. Volkswagen, this of course includes Audi with the Audi e-tron, nearly 38,000 EVs sold in 2023. This is an 84% year-over-year increase in sales. 11.5% of their sales were electric. And the ID4, which is actually made in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is not too far from me, does not qualify for the federal tax credit anymore, or I don't know if it did, but it will apparently may come eventually. So just a little side note on that. Volvo sold 13,609 all-electric cars. This is up 86% year over year. And they noted some other significant records were made for the company in the plug-in hybrid and the all-electric vehicle segments of theirs. And they're noting a demand and increase of about 15% in 2023. So again, they are noting that there is a tick upward for sure for the demand of electrified or electric offerings from Volvo. Polestar, not exactly Volvo, but not Volvo, announced this month that they delivered 54,600 cars in 2023, which is a bit short of their 60,000 target, but pretty decent. 12,000, just over 12,000, 12,215 of these were sold in the US market. I actually just know my sister's father-in-law just ordered his, or put in his order for his Polestar 3, which is really cool, really excited. That was fun to talk about over dinner. This is an all-electric brand, of course, born out of Volvo. I think that Polestars have a nice, really subtle way of going about what they're doing. Max on our team has a Polestar 2. Kyle has a Polestar 1, which is not all-electric, but a hybrid. Either way, what do you think about Polestar? Nissan. Early adopter of the EV space. Nissan offers the Nissan Leaf and the Nissan Ariya as their EV options. They sold just over 20,000 EVs in 2023, which was a big increase from their previous year of just selling over 12,000 Nissan Leafs in 2022. Of course, they introduced the Nissan Ariya, a premium option, this crossover version, and that kind of offered just a different market segment for Nissan. It wasn't the Nissan Leaf, which is a commuter car, your city driver, but, perhaps a step up there. Toyota. In the US, Toyota offers the BZ4X and sold 9,329 of these in 2023. Subaru, the Subaru Solterra had its first full year of sale in 2023, and they sold 8,872 this past year. I am looking forward to see what Toyota and Subaru do with the BZ4X and the Solterra, respectively. Although they were built in the same factory, they experienced the same issues upon launch, which I don't really need to get into. They kind of solved those. But in terms of the competitive nature of the BZ4X and the Solterra, their charging could be better. It could just be far more innovative. I love Subaru. So I'm really excited to see what changes come with the 2024 models. Lucid. The company delivered just over 6,000 EVs in 2023. This is a decrease increase, obviously, of course, from the 4,369 they delivered in 2022. Perhaps the Lucid Gravity that was released and unveiled this year at the LA Auto Show. Our team was actually there. I was there in Los Angeles for that event. Will help them have a better year this year. We'll see. It was received pretty well, I'd say. But of course, we have to actually see how the Lucid Gravity is delivered and how impressive it will be. Genesis saw over 6,000 EVs sold in 2023, which was a big increase, around 283% increase year over year from 2022. Fisker. We recently had a chance to chat with a longtime listener, first-time caller, Brian, who told us all about his experience adopting a Fisker Ocean One into his lifestyle. They have been driving EVs in his family for a while now. They have a lineup with Teslas, and he walked us all the way through the ordering to the delivery to the driving process. There are some definite bugs with the Fisker, but it was really great to hear his perspective. And I think a lot of you really enjoyed it. So I will link that in the show notes. The company said that they sold 2,669 EVs in 2023. Jaguar doesn't really have a lot to offer in the EV space. They have the I-Pace, and they just sold about 300 EVs in 2023. Honda, of course, does not have any EV options. They announced their plans for the Honda Prologue. Our friend Jordan with Out of Spec went and rode the Moto Compacto, which is the little, basically, suitcase on wheels reborn from a old project that they had a couple decades ago. But either way, yeah, that's a walkthrough of the major automakers in the US, how they turned out selling EVs in 2023. Did you have any surprises? I think sometimes people are like, but does Tesla really sell the most EVs? Oh my goodness, y'all, by far. They really do. Now, before we wrap this up, you got a picture of who sold how many, but what were the top selling EVs in the US in 2023? Based on the 2023 year-to-date sales numbers, here are the top 5 selling EV models last year. Coming in at number 1, perhaps at no surprise, is the Tesla Model Y. They sold 394,497 Model Ys. Tesla Model 3 came in second with 220,910 Model 3s sold. The Chevy Bolt EV/EUV, this discontinued product, as I mentioned earlier, 62,045 Bolts sold. Do you see that jump? We went from over 200,000, and third place is over 60,000. I mean, Tesla's just a huge majority. It's undeniable. Ford Mustang Mach-E was the 4th highest selling EV in the US in 2023 with over 40,000 sold. And then the VW ID4, about 37,789 sold in the US in 2023. Again, no tax incentive there, but maybe I'll go over with Max from the Out of Spec guide soon about what tax incentives you can expect if you're in the market for an EV in 2024. I know that I am. This is really great to get a picture of, I mean, obviously I'm exposed to what EVs are out there and I'm really considering it. I know that the Model 3 Highland was exciting. I think the Model Y Highland or the refresh, the Model Y, they call it Jupiter, I guess. Juniper, actually. Anywho, that's going to get a refresh. And as Kyle Connor said himself, that might be the ideal offering when it comes to value. I mean, that's another reason why Tesla there's so many being bought and sold, is that it's a great value for what you're getting. I still can't get over the idea that a VW ID Buzz would just be the cutest, most perfect option for my EV lifestyle. That's just, I can't get over the idea. That paired with an electric bike, motorcycle would be, I think, the perfect pairing. Just a little micro mobility and a little macro mobility, enough space to podcast from the road or camp, and then another little one to get around for that last mile or last good few miles. So what do you think? Are you in the market? Are you drawn to any of these specific automakers or specific models? What are you considering? Were you surprised by anything that we went over? Let me know in the comments below. I really appreciate you all tuning in. I hope this was useful just to get a picture of the market share in the US and how many EVs were sold in 2023. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time on the next episode of the Out of Spec Podcast. Bye-bye.